My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Paranormal Activity 3, and this review will have spoilers, so there's your warning. But people still do seem to love this one. People often say it's the best of the franchise, and while I don't agree, I still think it's good. But let's begin talking about what they did to allow this movie to stand out. And the first movie focuses on a couple. The second movie focuses on a family from the perspective of the adults. But this movie focuses on a family mainly told from the perspective of the kids. And we see Christy and Katie have an imaginary friend called Toby, and that is enough to allow this movie to stand out. They still let it feel fresh and new, and they do some interesting stuff to the cameras here. The big one is they put a camera on top of a fan stand, so the camera moves to the left, focusing on the living room, and then it moves to the right, focusing on the kitchen, and that's used very effectively throughout. You never know what's going to move or what change is going to be there when you go back to the kitchen or the living room. It's something to keep you on edge. I do like how the camera placed in the kids' bedroom. You've got the two beds, and then you've got the stairway, so you're always looking at every inch of the frame, just looking for any movement. There's also a camera in the parents' bedroom where the door is open ever so slightly, so you're looking at the meal, you're looking at the two beds, and you're looking at that crack in the door, and it's a good way to keep you engaged. My big issue with this movie is that I just don't think the first half is all that scary. Like, the first movie escalates ever so perfectly, and the second movie escalates so incredibly well as well. But here, it doesn't feel like a clear escalation. It just kind of feels random, and like those scenes where the girls are walking around at night, and I never found those moments to be creepy or intense. And like in the second movie, whenever Hunter is crying, you're like, is he crying because he's a baby or because there's a demon in his room? There's this uncertainty. While here, we've got Katie and Christy talking directly to the demon, so you just always know what's going on. So, the first half, it's still entertaining, it's still engaging, but it doesn't get under my skin. But the second half does. That scene, well, I think his name is Randy, and Katie are playing Bloody Mary. That scene is the best part in this entire movie. It is a terrifying moment. Like, the lights go off, and you're just waiting to see if something happens, and Randy gets attacked, and then they open the door, and there's just this darkness and this evil, chaotic energy, and it is relentless. Like, that scene really gets to me. I also thought the scene where Toby attacks the girls is really effective as well. And the scene where the mom goes to answer the door, and then she goes back to the kitchen and everything's on the roof and it just falls to the ground. Another great jump scare. Like, this movie does have some really good sound design. But then, after that scene, they go to Grandma's house. And things escalate from there. And I do like how different the finale of this movie felt. And like, the presence of a witch's coven is just so unnerving by itself. And that scene, well, Dennis is walking around the house and he sees someone standing in a room and he goes to that room and she's gone. That creeps me out. But like, even the fact that Christy and Katie are doing a ritual with a demon is just very psychologically disturbing. And I don't know if Christy was getting married to Toby or if it was just like an oath, but either way, like, it is really uncomfortable stuff. And one thing that also adds an extra layer of disgust to the ending is just the conversation early on about whether or not Dennis can really provide for his family, and how the grandma is insistent that he can't. And when he dies, there's something that feels personal about it. So yeah, like, the ending of this movie is great. It feels hopeless, it feels sad, it's really great stuff. And I do love how, by default, this movie expands upon the lore in the first two movies. Like, it's kind of simple, but it's also really well explored and quite effective. And I'm also going to say something a little strange here, but I also think this is the funniest movie of the bunch. Like, it does have its charming moments, and that's just due to the characters. And speaking of which, I really like Chris Smith as Dennis. It's nice that we get a likable male character here. He brought plenty of personality to his character and to this movie, and he was an easy guy to root for. I also just really like how we see him examine the tapes and how that puts him on edge. I thought Lauren Bittner did a real good job as well. Dustin Ingram is great. Chloe Sevigny and Tyler Brown feel very authentic as their characters. Like, I really don't think the performances of these movies get talked about enough. They just feel so effortless. They seem so naturally organic, and they always do what they need to do. So, yes. So, I do really like this movie. Make no mistake, it's just not my favorite of the franchise. I wish the first half was scarier, but it does deliver in the scares in the second half. I do think they do enough here to make this movie stand out. I do think it expands upon the story effectively. So I'm still going to give Paranormal Activity 3 a 7.5 out of 10. I also believe this was the third horror movie I saw in theaters, because there was Scream 4, there was Dream House, and then there was this movie. Unless I'm forgetting one, but I don't think I am. I think this was number 3. But anyways, Paranormal Activity 3. What did you think about this movie? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon. And Gavin,